What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Vulkan and I am back to making YouTube videos, and I couldn't come back at a better time. We have Saki Fuwa in a nice deep dive here. So I have access to the test server, and because of that, I'm able to preview Saki. That way I can bring you guys great footage early on. So as with any test client, please take everything you see here with a dump truck of salt, because all of this could change incredibly quickly. This is just what I have access to. Now, for this client, all of the weapons are 0 stars because I want to test what you get right when you get that weapon. I don't want to go out and test a 6-star or anything like that to show you guys, oh, hey, here's all the investment you need. Instead, how much value are you going to get on a 1-star, 0-star, you know, that type of thing. So if you take a look, we have Saki Fuwa's weapon here, Heartstream, we have Frigg's Balmung, and we have Tsubasa's Icewind Arrow. Now, Tsubasa and Frigg are level 100, and Saki Fuwa is 140. They're all frost, and we have the attack resonance up here. So what we're going to do in this video is break down Saki's weapon, all of her attacks, the way her character or her weapon sort of works, and then we're going to talk about all the different advancements and when her breakthrough is, what stars you need to get her to really capture a lot of the value she's going to bring to the table. So let's jump in and let's get started. So right out of the gate, we have Heartstream. You can see she is actually a Fortitude resonance by default, and she has a Frost type. So her Shatter is S tier at 1390, and her Charge is an A tier at 8. You can see she has attack, resistance, and HP, and then she obviously has the Ice Shell type. So she does have decent Shatter, which is great because obviously over on Balmung doesn't have good Shatter at all. And on Tsubasa, she is more of a charge character than a shatter character. Now you can swap Frigg's weapon out here with Meryl if you want even more shatter, but I really like her frost domain that she brings to the table because that pairs extremely well with Saki. So let's jump into her actual attacks and all of that stuff and break down what she can actually do. So before we go through our normal attacks like we usually do, Saki has a unique approach. So depending on what resonance you're in, she actually gets a different ability, or her abilities act differently. So when you're in the Fortitude resonance, you get Silent Flow. So you enter Silent Flow when Fortitude is activated. When you are in damage, then you get Excited Flow. So excited is damage or healing, I guess, and Fortitude gives you silent. So now that we know that, let's start at the very beginning. So over in normal attacks, we have Rage Stream. This is going to launch 5 combo attacks. They're all going to deal a little bit more damage as you go through and you complete that chain. Then we have Air Split. So while you're airborne, again, you can chain together 5 attacks, and they do get stronger as you go. Here's our first split in the process, okay? We have Excited Flow and we have Silent Flow. So remember, Excited Flow is the attack, or I guess benediction resonance, and Silent Flow is the Fortitude one. So for Excited Flow, we have Vortex. So while you're in Excited Flow, you're gonna tap and hold the normal attack to trigger a skill. You're gonna lunge forward with a swirling multi-attack and deal damage. For Silent Flow, you're going to tap while launching normal attacks, or tap and hold to launch this particular skill. You're going to hold the attack button to keep the anticipation. You're going to release the button to deal damage, and whenever you receive attacks during this period, it's going to block 20% of your maximum HP in terms of damage. So it's a damage reduction ability. Then we have Frostfall. So you're going to tap and hold normal attack while you're airborne, and you're going to basically fall and deal some damage. So let's take a look at what these actually look like. Okay, so I accidentally triggered a cutscene. Anyway, so let's get into what these attacks actually look like. So basic combo attack, you can see here, just chaining together 5 times, and she does some slashes and does a cross slash. In terms of your jumping attack, again, slashes stuff together and just aerial attacks. If you jump and hold, she'll do her downward kind of whirligig there as she deals damage. Now, she also has the Excited Flow where you tap and hold, and you can see she does this really cool kind of combo there, and that's that Excited Flow. Okay, so I swapped Frigg for Meryl, and so now we do have a Fortitude resonance. So let's see what this attack looks like now. So now when you click and hold, instead of doing all those slashes all over the place, instead you're going to enter this stance, absorb damage, and then when you release, you're going to release and attack. So those are all the different attacks that you have between Excited Flow and Silent Flow. So let's go ahead and switch back and take a look at the next skills. So for our dodge skill, we do have the regular dodge, but then we also have this polar front. So tap normal attack during the short period after dodging forward. You're going to then dash and turn around to attack the target. So let's see how that works. So dash forward and attack, dash forward and attack. So you can see it's kind of just a simplified version of our attack combo here, right? So dash forward and attack. So you can see what that looks like. Okay, so that's our dodge. Now let's get into our skills. So our skills are going to act a little bit different depending on what flow we're in. So first we'll do Excited Flow, and then we'll switch over into Silent Flow. So for our Excited Flow, we're gonna dash forward and dash toward the target and temporarily immobilize enemies along the path, and then deal delayed damage. And it's a huge amount of damage. Cooldown is 30 seconds, which actually isn't so bad. So that's pretty slick. Now in terms of our Silent Flow, we have Concentrated Stream. So you're going to cast the Silent Flow skill to begin charging up for 3 seconds, and you're going to continuously taunt nearby targets and absorb damage up to 60% of your maximum HP. Now at the end of the charge, you're going to deal frost damage equal to 408% of frost attack and 50% of the absorbed damage to targets, and 20% of the unconsumed value is going to be converted to HP recovery. So you're going to deal a huge amount of damage, plus an additional amount of damage to absorb targets, and you're going to recover 20% of that value as health. So this is just a whole really cool thing that they set up here. I really like the rebuke sort of identity they're going for. So there's more, right? But wait, there's more, Billy Mays. So you're gonna enter Silent Flow when Fortitude is activated. We talked about that. Now you're also going to enter Excited Flow when Resonance is not activated. So that's kind of the opposite. Now there's something additional. So the Wanderer, aka you as the player, can gain Sword Shadow, which follows them around when using Saki Fuwa's skills. Sword Shadow will release Surge when the Wanderer uses Saki Fuwa's branch skills or discharge skills. This is going to deal range damage equal to 135% of frost attack. Now the cooldown of Surge is 10 seconds. Now, while you're in Excited Flow, Sword Shadow is going to release Flow when the Wanderer deals damage with any weapon, which inflicts damage equal to 30% of your frost attack on the first target hit, and recovers health equal to 57% of the damage, which is great. So we're dealing damage and we're healing ourselves. Now, while you're in Silent Flow, which is the defensive one, after Sword Shadow releases Surge, you're going to obtain 3 blocks for 10 seconds. Now, these blocks will block damage that you receive. Now, the maximum block capacity cannot exceed 15% of your max HP. Here's the kicker, though. Each successful block deals counterattack damage equal to 225% of frost attack to the target, and the Shatter of Surge increases by 100% with an added taunt effect. So, honestly, if you're really kind of worried about, man, should I go the defensive side with Saki? Should I go the offensive side? Truly, I don't think you can really go wrong. And it kind of depends what your play style is. If you're someone who really likes sort of the protection style of play where you put up a shield, you absorb damage, you kind of release that damage as a retribution or a rebuttal, then you can go that direction. If you really like offense and you like flying towards the target and kind of keeping them on their heels, then go the damage route because you're going to be continuously charging forward. So you really can't go wrong with either one of these. So let's take a look at what these skills look like. So this is the damage skill. So I'll go ahead and just hit it. She jumps forward, does this really cool zigzag, kind of teleports back and does this cool slashing motion. And obviously it deals tons of damage, which is really cool too. So that's that one. Let's flip over to the actual Fortitude one here. We'll wait for that to come off cooldown. But remember, in the meantime, we also have Sword Shadow and all that fun stuff too. So there's some interesting stuff you can do. I think PvP is going to be interesting with Saki, being able to kind of like attack and then charge and then attack and then charge. I think I don't know. It's going to be interesting. People are super smart, so being able to kind of put all of that together is way outside of my wheelhouse. Okay, so this is the defensive side of the skill. So press and hold, she kind of gets this supercharged version, and then she releases it all and does a big slash in front of her, and obviously sends out a shockwave underneath her as well. So that's what we're looking at when it comes to her two skills. And let's jump through to her discharge really quick, and we'll talk about that. There really isn't anything crazy. You're just going to switch to this weapon and deal a significant amount of damage. So that's truly what we have right now for all of Saki's abilities. So let's talk about her advancements, because this is where things get really interesting. So Saki does come with Frost Resonance. So if you're someone who invested in Frigg, you will have Frost Resonance if you go for Saki as well. If you're somebody who missed out on Frigg, this is how you can get Frost Resonance. Okay, so in terms of advancement, let's talk stars. So for her 1 star, when Frost Resonance is activated, which it currently is, all weapon skill cooldowns are cleared every 5 times that weapon skills are used, and the damage of flow and counterattack is increased by 1 time for the next 25 seconds. So again, take all of this with a grain of salt, because these numbers can change. Essentially, every 5 times you use a skill, your cooldowns are going to be cleared or reduced. And then flow and counterattack is going to be increased for the next 25 seconds. So this is a really cool star, and I think if you were to invest, this would be probably a really good point to start seeing a lot of the value that Saki can bring outside of the baseline damage that she has. But I don't think this is her breakthrough. Then we have 2 stars that increases her base attack. Then we have 3 stars. So 3 stars, you have Excited Flow, and you're going to increase the damage of Sword Shadow Surge to 270% of your Frost attack. And Silent Flow, the cooldown of Sword Shadow Surge becomes 5 seconds, which is half. This, at this point, this is where I think Saki's breakthrough occurs. I think anything past this is gravy, but 3 stars is going to where you're really going to see the most value she has. Because here, if you go the damage route, this is going to give you a large increase to your Frost attack damage, in addition to everything else. But if you decide to go the Fortitude side with Saki and go the tanking route, then here she's going to get that Sword Shadow Surge twice as often. Instead of waiting 10 seconds for it to kick back on, you have 5 seconds. And Surge is a wild ability, because if we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, well, in Silent Flow, after Sword Shadow releases Surge, you get those 3 blocks. And those 3 blocks are going to block damage. And remember, each successful block is going to deal counterattack damage and increase the shatter of Surge with a taunt. So if you're someone who really likes to lean that direction, then being able to do this twice as often is going to be incredibly beneficial. So that's 3 stars. 4 stars, you're going to see an HP growth. At 5 stars, this one's a little bit interesting. So freeze time and trigger Fantasia upon Surge hitting the target. So whenever Surge hits the target, you're going to trigger Fantasia. However, it does share a cooldown with Dodge Fantasia. So it's not like you can have 2 up at one time or anything like that. However, you do have multiple ways to trigger it outside of just timing your dodges. So if you're someone who can never time those dodges right, then maybe this is a one that you want to go for, because you'll be able to get Fantasia more often. Then we have 6 stars. So 6 stars, upon hitting a target with Surge, increase your Frost damage by 11% for 15 seconds. And upon triggering Block with Sword Shadow, reduce the Frost damage dealt by enemy targets by 25% for 12 seconds. Now this one is super situational, because not all enemies deal Frost damage. So that's something I think, you know, could be hit or miss. The Frost damage increase up here obviously is good. We'll welcome it for damage. But as a 6 star, this really wasn't like blowing the doors off for me. It just wasn't. And the 5 star between Fantasia and all of that stuff, and the fact that it shares a cooldown with Dodge Fantasia, I just don't have a lot of use for this either, because I mean, triggering Fantasia with Dodge isn't too difficult. So if you're someone who does it often, then 5 stars is a complete waste too. So that's why I think 3 stars is truly where she's going to see the most value, and you shouldn't go past that unless you just randomly get her when she gets added to normal banner at some point in time. So that's what we're looking at for Saki. She's an incredibly fun character. I really like her Heartstream weapon. It's fun to use. It's powerful. Has really kind of a good flow to it. But that's not the only thing for us to talk about. Let's also talk about her matrices. So the matrices for Saki are incredibly cool. So her 2-piece set, when Frost Resonance gets triggered, which it should, every 3 seconds you're going to deal frost damage equal to 65% of your frost attack to enemies within a 10-meter radius and apply the Ice Frost effect, which is going to inflict a 5% slow, and that effect lasts for 3.5 seconds. Now, you're also going to freeze the target for 3 seconds at 3 stacks. Now, this does not apply to bosses, and you're going to increase your frost damage taken by the target by 5% for 18 seconds. There is a ton happening here. There's just a lot. So you're going to be dealing extra frost damage, slowing them, potentially freezing them, and increasing the frost damage they take, all with this one 2-piece set. Now let's get into the 4-piece. So at 4 pieces, you're going to attack the target 10 times to inflict a 12-second flash freeze mark. Now this flash freeze mark is going to increase frost damage dealt to the marked target by 11% baseline. Now this is just, again, very plain and simple, right? You attack the target 10 times, which is going to be incredibly easy to reach. You're going to inflict a flash freeze mark. That mark is going to increase damage, frost damage dealt to that target by 11%. The synergy between Saki just internally is wild. She increases damage of frost, which is going to make her even stronger. She slows, she freezes, she does all sorts of very interesting stuff. So if you're somebody who is really kind of rocking the frost team and you want to stick with that, I would highly recommend going for Saki. She is one of those characters that just seems like you cannot pass her up, at least right now. So guys, that is everything we know so far about Saki. Now I'm going to leave you guys with a couple dungeon runs, that way you can see how she performs. But thank you all so much for all the support. Thank you for allowing me to take a break and step away from YouTube for a short while. This kind of week and a half off has really helped. I mean, it really has, being able to kind of just disconnect and not worry about stuff so much. I do have some maybe big news coming when it comes to the way I'm going to set up things. So keep your eyes locked to the channel. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Let the energy flow with your heart. Let the energy flow with your heart.